Hey everybody, this is Doug with Artfully Rogue, and in this video I'm going to show you a tiny house that I built for my daughter. Alright, so we got our trailer full of materials. We're going to start taking this box apart, get back down to the flatbed, and then we're going to take all of that and turn it into something cool. Okay, so we've got the box off, we got the flatbed ready, and it already has kind of like an OSB base. I'm going to go ahead and keep that. And what I need to do now is I need to level this truck. This side here is sitting pretty low, so I want to block it up. And that way I have a nice level platform to work from. And then we're going to frame out the floor and get that insulated next. When I purchased this property in April of 2023, this truck, along with 10 other abandoned vehicles, were here. Luckily, the previous owner removed them all, except for this truck, which I believe is a 1967 International Lodestar flatbed. This truck is super heavy. Now, I want to create an insulated floor, so I'm going to frame the floor with 2x4s and set them at 16 inches on center. I also want to make sure that the new floor is securely attached to the truck flatbed. So I'm screwing 2x4 blocking onto the flatbed and then securing the floor frame to the blocking. I'm using a rolled insulation with R13 rating. This insulation is pre-cut to go between 2x4s that are laid at 16 on center. I'm also using a hammer tacker to secure the insulation to the 2x4s. Now honestly, they should call this thing a hammer stapler since you use staples, and it's a stapler just with a hammer motion. If you're interested, I put a link in the description. It's a great tool to have around. I've chosen to close up the floor with the 3/8 OSB. However, it is a bit thin for flooring, and if this was a paid gig, I would use 5/8 or greater. This is for my daughter, and while I do love her, a thinner floor did save me a few extra dollars. As I place this last piece of floor, it's time to build the first wall. This is the south wall and is the exact same length of the floor. Building it on the floor was a no-brainer. It's 4 inches short of 8 feet, so when I attach the wood siding, it will go over the floor framework as well. There's going to be one window in this wall, and all of my studs are laid out at 24 on center. I'm having to clamp each stud to the top and bottom plates, as this has a lot of warp in the wood. With the north wall, I decided to build it in my shop, since I have the space to lay it out and square the corners. This side will have one window and a front door. This side is the tallest wall at 9 foot 6 inches to create a single sloped roof. Here, Rob gave me a hand moving the north wall into place. As a point of reference, it's mid-February in southern Arizona, and it's probably about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. In all honesty, this is not a project on my to-do list. You see, I spend part of my year in Arizona and part in Spain. 2 months in Arizona, 3 months in Spain. 2 months here, 3 months there. So when I'm in Arizona, I have a very busy work schedule, and this was not on my work schedule. Realistically, my daughter needed a place to live, and I knew I could bang out a tiny house for her before I left for Spain. Once the north wall was up and clamped into place, I built the west wall and then the east wall. Both walls will have windows, and now it's time to secure all the walls together, and then to the floor. Seeing this video reminds me of the importance of working hard when in Arizona. Apparently, I don't work hard enough when in Spain, according to the tire around my waist. For the first year in Spain on a resident visa, you're legally not allowed to work and earn money there. With the walls in place, I can start to close it up. Again, I'm using the 3/8 OSB that will be directly attached to the 2x4 framework. I want to point out how important this first piece is in the construction process. Obviously, you square your walls. However, this is where you must double and triple check the walls are square. Attaching this piece of OSB will dictate how the other pieces lay out. So hang it straight and secure it. You will be so much happier down the road on the project if you do. The OSB sheathing is added to the south and the east walls, and now I'm starting on the north wall, attaching the last sheet on the west wall. With the walls 98% complete, I decided to start cutting the window openings. I still need to extend the wall studs into the angled roof and add OSB there. However, I want to attach my roof rafters first to ensure the studs will line up perfectly to the roof. Cutting notches into the rafters will provide more surface when attaching to the top plates. Just be sure not to cut more than 1/3 of the material. Here I'm only cutting 1 inch into a 3.5 inch depth. Now here I'm adding 2 rafters on the outside wall, so when I extend my wall studs, I'll have more surface to nail into. And my spacing for my roof rafters is 24 on center. Pre-cutting the notches also allows me to push or pull the top walls into place. Now I'm closing up the space between the rafters and the top plate with 2x4 blocking. With all of the walls and roof closed up, it's time to add the moisture barrier. I picked up a 9-foot by 100-foot long roll, which is more than enough to cover the tiny house. And once again, I'm using my hammer stapler to secure the sheet to the OSB. Try to get out as many of the wrinkles as possible. Cutting the window openings felt good for some reason. I knew I was getting the exterior close to finishing. Installing the windows went fairly smooth, and all of these windows are just your basic double pane off-the-shelf window. Okay, so here is an update. I think we are on day 3 or 4. I can't remember. But I got all the windows in now, and those are all weather stripped. I need to actually cut that 2x4 out, which is where the door frame will go now that everything is secured inside of there. This would be the window on the east side, and as we go around, you'll see the window on the south side of the truck, and then there's a window on the west side of the truck. Now, it's going to be hard for me to get up there and show you right now. It's super windy. I'm going to have to switch gears a little bit today. But up on top, I'm going to go ahead and put some membrane or moisture membrane up top before I lay on the corrugated panels. But then the siding goes on, and yeah, everything should start to look good on the outside once that's done. And then on the inside, I got to start laying out the electric, and then to do the insulation. Up on the ceiling, I'm going to put in some extra blocking for a ceiling fan. But coming together. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. As you can see, I am no longer in Tucson. I'm back in Spain. I'm here for a couple of months, and while I'm here, I'm going to edit the rest of this video so you can see how this tiny house turned out. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, Gia. That's Gia.